All right, we have some draft news regarding and related to the San Francisco 49ers that I'm actually excited about. So let's talk about it. As you can see on the screen, tight end Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green will be hosted on a pre-draft visit by the San Francisco 49ers, according to Tony Pauline. And now I'm going to tell you why I'm excited about this. Fannin in 2024 put up one of the most prolific seasons by a tight end in college football history. In 2024, he had 117 receptions, which is an FBS record. He also had 1,555 yards, which is another FBS record for a tight end. Both are tight end records. And on top of that, 10 touchdowns to boot. So let's look into the profile. Let's look into the player and dive in a little bit deeper of why, he could be a target. And I have admittedly mocked Harold Fannin Jr. more to the 49ers than I would like to admit. I mean, I even did a mock draft that I posted on the channel where I took him, and I got a little bit of pushback, which I understand because it wasn't heavy defensive line focused early on. But let's talk about why the 49ers could potentially go for a Harold Fannin Jr. opposed to the very discussed Tyler Warren, who's constantly being connected to the 49ers at 11. So let's look at it. When you look at his combine results, he had a 4.71 40-yard dash. Now, in comparison, you look at George Kittle, he was a 4.52 guy. So definitely not the same speed, but that doesn't mean he's not a good athlete. His 10-yard split was 1.56 seconds. His vertical jump, 34 inches. His three cone, which is pretty solid, 6.97. His short shuttle is all right. It's 4.39. I put like top offensive linemen who move really well at about 4.4. If you can hit 4.4 as a top offensive lineman in a 20-yard short shuttle, that's pretty elite. So the fact that he's at a 4.39, it's okay. It's all right. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. And 22 bench reps. And like I said, he is a very, very productive player. He is a first team AP All-American. He was the MAC Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year, first tight end in FBS history to win Conference Player of the Year. He was first team All-MAC, finalist for the John Mackey Award, which is the nation's top tight end. And again, as we mentioned, he led the FBS in receptions and receiving yards, both single season FBS tight end records. Led the team with 10 receiving touchdowns, and he played in all 13 games with 12 starts. So he's a very interesting player. I don't think it's a great comp, but he gives me a little bit of Delanie Walker vibes. Now, one of the reasons why Delanie Walker was such a good tight end is because he was a phenomenal blocker as well as being a good pass catcher. Whereas Fannin isn't as good of a blocker. It's something that he's definitely going to have to develop at the next level. He is definitely more of a receiving threat in the form of a tight end. But again, when you look at the 49ers' current roster construction, you look at George Kittle, you see that they signed a blocking tight end in Luke Farrell. I think they can afford to draft a receiving tight end, and I think they should. I've taken multiple receiving tight ends, and especially now that they have Luke Farrell, it makes even more sense for them to go that route, to be able to get more vertical threats and, get mismatches. Because when you put two tight end sets out there and you got Kittle and you got Fannin, you're looking at additional linebackers on the field, additional safety. You're taking cornerbacks off the field because they're going to match personnel packages that match that formation. So what you could do is you get really creative with it. You could really start working play action. You could do a lot of different things, and it could stress opposing defenses to be able to have two pretty prominent wide receiving threats on the field from the tight end position. So I like this. I do. Now, what round would it make sense? His stock is going to be an interesting one, depending on what simulators you use. He's kind of in the third, fourth round range. So, the 49ers probably have to look there. Probably third, the early third is the sweet spot if he makes it out of the second. So, would you consider taking Harold Fannin Jr., let's say at like pick 75? That might have to be the spot. I don't know if he makes it to 100. So if he was there at 75, and let's say you got an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman, or vice versa, or two defensive linemen in the first two rounds, would you go receiving tight end in the third? Maybe, maybe. I mean, a guy with this much production, I was also able to cover him at the Senior Bowl, so I got to see him up close and personal. He definitely is a good route runner. You can see the ability to manipulate defenders with his routes. He's good in and out of the break. Pretty solid explosion. And like decent speed. He doesn't have great speed, but again, he has great body control, and so he can manipulate defenders that way. So interesting to say the least. So I wonder if the San Francisco 49ers take a shot on him, if they would consider him or not. It's going to be fascinating to see. So let me know what you guys think. Should the San Francisco 49ers really consider drafting tight end Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green? Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments below. And again, I'm really curious to see where you guys slot him. If you think the 49ers should spend a premium, I would call it a premium pick on a tight end when you have George Kittle, when the 49ers signed a tight end too. See, for me personally, I like the mid-round tight end much more than the top 11 tight end. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Tyler Warren's a phenomenal tight end. I don't like it at 11. It's just the 49ers, and I'm not a big draft for need guy. I am a big BPA guy, but I think there could be better players out there than Tyler Warren. And that's no disrespect to Tyler Warren. He's a phenomenal tight end. But based on value, based on guys like this who might be available at pick 75, I would prefer to go more premier positions at 11 and then be able to try to strike gold on a tight end later. Remember, George Kittle was a 5th round pick. He was not a top 10 pick. He was not a first round pick. He was a 5th round pick. Just saying. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.